Thank you, Shelby. Hello, everyone. Um, uh, Quick introduction. My name is Andrew Price. I'm one of the associate directors for Residence Life. I currently use he, him pronouns in case that comes up, and I supervise all of our supervisors of the various residence hall buildings, and by extension, the RAs, who are student staff members on the team as well. And yeah, kind of lead that group out. I'll let Liz introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Dr. Liz Seckler, and I serve as the Director of Residence Life. I've gotten to be at Shepherd since 2012, and so I have responsibilities over the entire department and making sure that we're all getting ready and can be as safe as possible.
So we wanted to use this session today, obviously, to talk about housing and residence life and kind of living on campus, touch on meal plans a bit if folks have questions, or yeah, just everything to do with joining us on campus. Obviously, the virtual interaction and everybody's become Zoom savvy. So that is a kind of our new normal. And we are still in the act of adjusting for what fall is going to look like, but we've been working hard this summer to come up with a number of plans and procedures to make sure that while MoveIn is definitely not going to be like anything that's been MoveIn in the past, it is going to be something meaningful and something that prioritizes the safety of you all and the staff teams and kind of everybody all around in the community, as well as prioritizes still getting a lot of that same on-campus experience, that same on-campus convenience that comes up and that folks hope for when they sign up for housing on campus. I have a few things that I can kind of highlight and show as we go through. I will say that most of our information as we've been developing it has been updated on our website, on the Residence Life site. We are kind of, as information comes in, putting new info on there for folks to know. Also, a super important method for making it through the next couple months is for students to check their emails really frequently. It's university procedure that we send information to students' emails. That's kind of our main mode of communication. So as you all know, if you are signed up for housing and are living on campus, you've been getting a number of emails from us already. So that's going to be a really major way that we keep folks in the loop and on our website as we get closer and closer to MoveIn. So I know, and this is going to show up on your various screens, but we are recording this so that it can be referenced later. But I would say if you are comfortable with it and you're in the chat here and you are living on campus and want to turn your camera on and just kind of wave and be like, hey, I'm living on campus. We would do this in the past because we would be meeting our roommates. Orientation was one of those times that we kind of had this built in, like, meet the person you're going to be living with or make friends with somebody you might be living with. We don't have as much of that interaction this year, but we can still kind of have a little conversation that can occur. Also, too, that is one of the features of living on campus this year, is that for the most part we have single rooms only all across campus. To accommodate that, we have housing in all of our buildings that were available last year, plus we've added in numerous rooms over in one of our local hotels that can accommodate students both returning and new. So we're going to be spread out around campus and out in the Clarion Hotel nearby. So nice to see some faces. Hello. Okay, so let me get this screen share up here. So one of the primary spots for folks, I've already mentioned this, is our website. If you're on a mobile device, it can sometimes be a little confusing, but there's a thing that says Residence Life links, and then that's how you can get to all of these various tabs that you see right now over here on the side. But we've been updating this site, I would say, for folks who are joining us on campus this coming fall, who haven't lived on campus before. Some of the key pieces are going to be under our fall 2020 adjustments and under our resources for new students. So some of our resources for new students, we have a newly updated packing list. We've previously had kind of lists that would make sense for any time of year in years past, but we've recently updated it so that it also includes some items that we recommend for students around health and wellness and for cleaning supplies. And then also has some important links, since some of our procedures that would have been kind of the norm last year are now being adjusted. So things like purchasing your parking pass, now it's going to be a little bit more mail centric than actually going into the office. So we're all kind of learning new ways of approaching our work. But this is a good site to double check some pieces that are, or some things to not pack, some building specifics that you might need to know as far as sheet size. That's a question that we get quite a bit. And then various setups of rooms. Also on our resources, we have information about meal plans that I know some of you might have questions about mail, how to get your mail. We've streamlined our mail process. You used to have a different mail address based on the buildings that you live in. Now we have kind of one shared mail address that you pretty much just make sure that you put your hall code and your name, and it all arrives into our main office. So we're also streamlining some of our processes that you can all find, or you can find all on our website. You also can look to our fall 2020 adjustments page. That might be a good spot to go to if you're wondering about what it's going to be like on campus this coming fall. As I've said, and as everyone here obviously knows, information is developing and things are changing day by day, but as they change, we're updating info here. Shepherd's main information about the fall semester is linked up in that red banner that's on the top of every page of our website. But this is sort of a branch off of that, specifically about housing, and it has a number of questions answered all down through here about living in certain buildings, about room setups and bills and all of that. So this is an excellent resource to check out. If you have questions that we don't address on there, or if you've got anything specific coming up, a good reach out is on all of our pages. We have our contact information down here. Obviously, there's a lot of specifics coming in. So we do get to everybody's request. It is, our inboxes are a little backed up at the very moment with obviously a lot of mid-summer adjustments. In years past, we would have kind of had room selection and everything figured out back in the spring, but this has been one for the record books. So we are still making adjustments and still tweaking things here and there. But we are easy to contact. If you give us our office a call or send us an email, we'll get back to questions about that, questions that are specific. I bring that up because I know that our time here in this group is a little short. So I know that we're holding these virtual sessions and we're kind of keeping them to right about an hour. So I want to honor that time and make sure that any kind of conversation or questions that do come up are really valuable and we should talk through them. I do want to make sure that anything that's kind of like specific about specific assignments or anything like that, that's going to be better handled if we can connect outside of this conversation, because we'll have to look up specifics, because every individual is going to have kind of a number of reasons why their situation is the way that it is. But for anything else that's kind of, larger picture, we can definitely answer that here, answer those questions, and yeah, share that support. So I will quit sharing that. And I really, unless Liz, if you have anything else to add before jumping in, but I wanted to give time to the group to really just ask questions or see what kind of things are on y'all's mind or what we can provide from Residence Life. Matt or Shelby, I don't know the best way that y'all have been doing questions in the previous sessions.
Yeah, we've just been using the chat feature. So if you guys just want to throw in your questions in the chat. Andrew, on one of the other sessions, we did have a question about Shaw Hall's bulletin board size in the rooms. I don't know if you would know that right off the top of your head, so that might be a good question to answer here too.
Spoiler alert, I don't know right off the top of my head the size of it, but it's the size of one of our hallway size ones. So it's not like a typical one that you'd buy like at Walmart or Target for like back to college, buy this thing. It's like almost as long as the bed itself.
Andrew, do you want us to read the questions to you, or do you just want to go through?
No, I just pulled it open, so
Okay.
I was browsing through. But let's see, what are some of the ones that we've got? Okay, so about dining halls. Let me jump on dining halls. So so there is going to be kind of like two major options if you want to boil it down to that. So there's going to be food in the Ram's Den. So that's over in our student center kind of main hub. That is going to be kind of an all you care to eat space. In the past, that's been in our dining hall. That's now going to be in the Ram's Den. Obviously, with our fall adjustments, there is going to be more of that grab and go kind of interaction with food, but the Ram's Den will serve as that all you care to eat space. And then the various other dining locations across campus will be kind of that retail space. And that's going to be during a normal, non-COVID-19 school year, that would be sort of still largely a lot of grab and go kind of interaction with food. And so it's going to be definitely grab and go. And the way that meal plans are going to work is you're going to have your weekly meals plus dining dollars. So those are the two things you'll juggle. And in our Ram's Den all you care to eat space, that would be mostly kind of a swiper, whatever your meal plan is for that week. You'd use a meal swipe to go in, get some food. In our other dining locations, that's going to look like they're going to be different combinations of meal sizes. And then you would, and that would all be kind of displayed for you, but your combination that you choose would have a meal swipe plus X number of dining dollars. So your dining dollars serve as both kind of a backup if you are buying food outside of a meal swipe, plus it kind of supplements that meal swipe that you've had for that food that you're grabbing and going with. I hope that answered, because I saw a couple questions about how the different dining halls are going to work, and then a few about dining dollars. So I don't know if you all would add anything.
A lot of questions about microwave and fridges in the dorm rooms.
You can't have them.
In every room, you can have one refrigerator per person and one microwave per bedroom. If you're assigned to Potomac Place, we already provide a micro fridge for you. It's a smart one that when the microwave runs, the refrigerator turns off. And it has this added feature that if you burnt your popcorn, it turns itself off so that it doesn't smoke the whole building. And you can charge your phone on it. So if you're in Potomac Place, you shouldn't need to bring it. But if you're in the other buildings, you would want to. Or if you're in the Clarion, that they're also provided there.
Yeah, and the best thing is too that we do have limitations, and that's all on that site that I showed with like kind of what to pack. We do have some limitations with the size of fridge and the wattage of microwave. The best part of that is most of those are kind of difficult to even buy now. Like the size of the fridge to hit our limit is a sizable, like noticeably large fridge. So if you're buying kind of one of those just typical mini fridges and a microwave, you'll be all set. I saw a couple of questions about being able to eat in a dining hall that's in like within a residence hall. There's only one that is within a residence hall, and that's Riverside, which is within Potomac Place. And that's going to be one of our grab and go kind of centers. So there won't be a large space to kind of like sit and eat inside, but that will still be open. There will still be food for that area, food that you can get out of that area. Okay, looking at other questions.
The Rams Den will have limited seating.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about laundry?
Yes, I just saw a couple of things about that. We do have laundry. Laundry is free on campus as well. So washing and drying is free. And so that would continue. Right now, we plan to have plenty of signage about being smart and socially distant with use of those spaces, but we will still have full use of our laundry facilities, and we have kind of a specific maintenance crew. If anything ever kind of like breaks down or any of that, we got a number that we call and get that fixed up quickly. So laundry is within each residence hall as well. So for folks living out in the hotel out in the Clarion, there's a laundry facility on each floor. In our Westwood suites, there's kind of a large laundry facility in one of our center suites. So the suites are kind of scattered a couple in a row, and they kind of all center into one that we call Boatler. And so there's a laundry facility inside Boatler. And then in Shaw, Thatcher, Potomac Place, Dunlop, Prince, all of the other buildings, there's a laundry facility in the main first floor lobby area. There's a question about buses. So we do have the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, I think EPTA. EPTA will still be running around campus, although they are going to have kind of a limited loop, and they are going to limit the number of students who are kind of on the bus at one time. There is still going to be transportation around campus to help get you from the residence halls to any of those in-person kind of hybrid classes that you might have on the other side of campus. So there is still going to be that system in place. I'm writing down the list, making sure I'm hitting everything. Oh, okay. So here's a question about like, what is the most popular meal plan? I would say that as far as meal plans go, you should always pick kind of what makes the most sense for you. And that's like it depends answer, but it really does depend. I would say you're going to look at two things. So meals per week and dining dollars. So it can kind of be enticing to go one way or the other. So on the one hand, dining dollars, the more that you have there, it can kind of be like, okay, I can eat more. The more meals per week, okay, I can eat there. And both are kind of true. It levels each other out. Meals per week, if there's anything that kind of has like the 19, that's each meal per day and twice on the weekends. So that's going to be, if you know that you have a really consistent schedule, you really are making sure like you hit every meal, that sometimes is going to be more important for folks. If you know you're more kind of sporadic and you're going to forget to eat sometimes and you're going to be like, I need to go here, here, and here, it might make more sense to have more dining dollars than meals per week. So that can always fluctuate. You can also request to change your meal plan. We've got a window of time that you can change your meal plan out. So if you kind of show up and you not got the right one, it's not like you bought a used car and can't return it. Like you can always kind of adjust your meal plan to some degree. And our office is available to help with all of that.
One of the questions in there is about shipping items, and it's absolutely okay to start shipping items. Everybody anticipates that things can take a little bit longer to get shipped. So if you're going to be ordering textbooks, you're welcome to start shipping them to us and we'll hold them for you. And that mailing address Andrew showed you is online.
Somebody asked specifically about Martin Hall. You would need to get a microwave and fridge for Martin.
I think another question in there is about if you're in a room that's traditionally double occupancy, are we taking out the extra furniture? And the answer is no. We're going to leave it in there.
It's also important to note for furniture in rooms that you are absolutely allowed and encouraged to kind of rearrange all your furniture in your room and kind of figure out what system works for you. Some people like to put the bed in front of the window. Some people like it on the opposite wall. And we encourage that creativity. The only rule that we have is that you can't, obviously don't break anything. But also if you are rearranging furniture, you can't take anything out of the room. So if you decide that that second desk kind of is it going to fit the, your setup and you want to have it taken out, we don't have any kind of setup for taking out extra furniture or setting those out in the hallway or anything like that. All the furniture that's in the room when you arrive for move-in has to stay in there. But some folks do, come up with really creative ways. If you set the bed frame up pretty high, the desk fits right up under there, and then people use it as extra storage instead of a desk. So there's all kinds of creative ways to make rooms work with the various furniture in there. It just all has to stay in that space. I saw a question about kind of like knowing who else is in the various halls before moving in. We don't have a system for that. In the past, there's been a roommate matching system that's been how you would find roommates and stuff. But as far as who else is in the residence hall, we don't have a system for getting to know folks beforehand, simply because that can often change. Some people might decide to switch their building or not come to Shepherd at all, or we might have somebody new join in. So like it shuffles quite a bit, but we do have our resident assistants. So on every floor of the buildings, we have students who are also student employees that work in our office who serve as resident assistants to kind of be around and be that community builder, be that connector, be that support. For a lot of students, they can serve as the person to go to ask questions, like all the questions in this chat. Those are those folks on the hall to say, hey, what's it like to get from this side of campus to the other? How much time should I budget in the morning? What's the latest I can sleep in? What department do I go talk to if I've got a question about whatever? I know, like when I went to college, I'm a first generation college student. So I went for like 2 weeks and I had no clue what the registrar even was. Like, what does that word even mean? And my RA was the person who was like, you didn't go talk to the registrar. You're going to get like you're going to mess up your classes. What are you doing? So like those are those folks who are also students who can help. And one of the things that we train them to do, and training for those folks start next week. So one of the things that we're going to train them on is connecting and creating connections amongst folks like who live in the hallway. Even though we're not going to be necessarily gathering up in person or physically, we're still going to have a good connection point and create that time and space to get to know each other. So you're going to have folks focused in on that for sure. A couple questions about the Clarion. The Clarion is not far from campus. It's not like out, down and around the corner or anything. It's just right up the street. I would say it is
It's 6/10
definitely
of a mile.
6/10 of a mile. I think if folks had have a bike, it is going to be able to zip back and forth, no problem. And another question about, can you have a mini fridge and microwave out there? The rooms in the Clarion will already have a mini fridge and microwave in them. Provided storage space in Martin. So if you're living in Westwoods, that's one of our suites. So what that means is you walk into a room and that's kind of a living room space. So there's a big empty room in there, just kind of open for creativity. There's couch space and yeah, there's like a couch and another little like love seater kind of setup. And then 2 bedroom spaces, and in there are chest of drawers and standalone closets, similar to all of the other buildings that offer those offerings, those pieces of furniture.
There's a few questions about healthcare availability. And we do have a student health center on campus, and there's a nurse practitioner who is there who can write prescriptions and can treat many things. And that's all included in your fee. So that's not, the visit is not anything that has to be charged to an insurance. If you got a prescription, then, you know, that may go, when you pick it up, that may go through your insurance, but they're right here on campus. Being able to see them is part of your fees, which is part of the reason why you're required to fill out a health status review form. You do that through RAM Pulse. So that way they know your history and they can best treat you. There was another question about providing COVID testing on campus, and we are not, currently we're not planning to offer the testing on campus, but there are several locations within the county where people can get tested.
I see a question about the kitchen spaces. So to start off the semester, our lounges and our kitchens and most of those common area spaces are going to be closed and not really in use to at least for the first little bit of the fall semester. And so there is going to be pretty limited use of those spaces. However, our suites and our apartments and the Clarion, they have sinks that would be accessible right there in room. And then in Shaw and Thatcher, there's sinks and other pieces available in the bathrooms right there along the hallways. So that was a question that came up. Somebody asked about aquariums. You can have aquariums up to, I believe it's off the top of my head, 10 gallons. Yeah, 10 gallons with no piranhas or sharks or anything that can bite you. But you can only have aquatic fish or aquatic fish. You can only have fish or aquatic turtles. So like only in water ever turtles. Any kind of other animal that is an accessibility need, you would just kind of work through the process through our accessibility office. You can also check out their website to kind of see what those accommodations and that process looks like, but only 10-gallon fish for that answer, or for that question. Can beds be stacked? Yes. You can make bunk beds as needed, or you can kind of what we call loft them, but we don't have what we call lofting kits to some degree, which is like kind of a bed sort of standalone being stacked up.
So lofts are allowed in Potomac Place. In the other buildings, you cannot just stack 2 headboards to do it. It's just not stable or safe enough to do it unless you have a lot of hardware that we don't have. One of the questions is decorating walls in Potomac Place. We encourage people to use thumbtacks in order to hold them up things because they make really small errors. I can tell you that when our painting crew came through this summer, command strips work. Unfortunately, it seems that people do not remove them well, and they can remove hunks of the wall, which then results in damaged billing. So anytime you can use a thumbtack, that's good. Never use duct tape. And the other new thing that everybody has is those strips of light that are like LED lights, and then they want to write up, decorate their room so it's all hip and stuff. That's danger, because that causes a whole lot of damage as well. So we want you to make it personalized, but really thumbtacks are the best for Potomac Place or the apartments. The Clarion, because it's a hotel, we can't decorate anything on the walls. They don't appreciate our nail holes or anything like that. So the good news in Shaw and Thatcher, you can use command strips, and when you take those things down, those walls are strong, no problem.
Somebody asked about the shower in Thatcher. So for Shaw and Thatcher, both, there's still the community bathroom spaces. And so what you'll have is, since we're doing singles only amongst the bedroom, or yeah, the bedrooms are singles only, you'll have about 10 people per wing sharing a bathroom. So a much more limited number of folks utilizing that space. In the bathrooms themselves, you're going to have multiple stalls of toilets, multiple sinks, multiple showers, but those are also a pretty low number. It's only about, I think at most, like 5 shower stalls kind of in one bathroom. So it definitely is not like kind of tons of people piled in by any means. We're also going to have increased kind of cleaning of those spaces, but the showers are not going to be limited to just 1 shower per bathroom or 1 toilet or 1 sink or anything. We are going to have kind of an adjusted distance use, but there isn't going to be, there definitely won't be like a line for the bathroom. I know that when folks coming into live in the residence halls, the bathroom, especially in like a Shaw or Thatcher bathroom where you share it, it can feel like it's going to kind of get backed up because there's a number of people needing to share that space. But I've usually found that people have varying schedules. It's not like everybody kind of has to be in class, or everybody has to be in the same building all at one time, all at the same time in the morning. Class schedules are really staggered. So bathroom use usually, even when we have double occupancy in our rooms in the past, we've never had like an issue with how many people are needing to use the restrooms at one time. So even limiting it further to just the 1 person per bedroom down the wing is going to be, even a further alleviation of that. And as I mentioned, there's going to be increased cleaning of those spaces, sanitized about once a day, and then other cleaning materials available for students. So that's kind of the current approach to those bathrooms in Shaw and Thatcher. Somebody asked about shower curtain size. It would be just the standard shower curtain size, so nothing, no big bells or whistles there. Anything you'd like to bring for that setup?
And bikes you could bring your bicycle into your room. but there's not an inside place for you to store it unless it's in your room. So there are lots of racks outside.
And the only thing I'd add about bikes is there's obviously no, you can't ride your bike inside. That would be difficult to begin with, but not a great idea. There is a question about the hour-and-a-half move-in time, how kind of strict that is, and if folks have a chance to do a wipe down of the room. So usually how move-in works, so to kind of shed some light on that, is and the reason that we're kind of giving a time frame, as you all can understand, is to limit kind of how many folks are in and around the same spaces at the same time. So that hour-and-a-half is to make sure that that is occurring. When you arrive on campus, we help you get to the building that you're supposed to be at, and then prioritize kind of unloading stuff and getting that all up to your room as you're able. Being able to go in and kind of get checked in and then go and, you know, get into your space and see it. And like the question asked, kind of wipe it down. There is going to be time for that. That is something that you can kind of arrive and do with the understanding that you also are going to need to kind of get your stuff also up into the room. So that's why in that sign up email, we've recommended folks arrive and plan to arrive at the start of that hour-and-a-half time that they've signed up for. So if you signed up for, 9 a.m., our recommendation is not kind of arrive any time within 9 to 10:30. It's try to get here and try to be around your building arriving right at about 9. Because then we have enough time for you to get checked in through the process, go up to the room, check its condition, kind of go through all of that, and then start getting your stuff in and be squared away there. So that time block is ideally meaning you're arriving at the beginning of that time block. Are there still room? So there's a question if there's still rooms available in our halls. If you want housing on campus, we've got a spot for you, and we will find that spot for you. It is going to adjust and change up and down as far as where and availability, and based on personal need and availability of the space, like I said. But if folks want to live on campus, we're going to get a space for them. So no worries there. There's a question about community areas in our residence halls. Right now, to start out this semester, those aren't going to be really open to use. There will still be, like a chair or two here and there to kind of sit down and grab, get yourself together and, go through your backpack and make sure you got everything and all of that. So there's still going to be space. But as far as like gathering up multiple couches all around in circles like we normally have, kind of that community space, we aren't going to have those as much. We don't have a system right now requiring folks to wipe down things after they've used them. That's obviously best practice and good idea, but we don't have anything that's requiring you to wipe down a chair after you've sat in it. That same question asked about wiping down seats in classrooms and other spaces. I have not heard of that being kind of an expectation of students to do. So that is not something that I have seen come through by any means. But we do have plans to make sure that all around campus there's increased cleaning cycles and increased focus on doing just that, kind of cleaning spaces after class use and other kind of gatherings.
I think there's a dual strategy of using a sanitization process regularly within the residence halls and classrooms, and then having wipes available in multiple locations so that people can use that as an option as well.
There's a question about parking decals on move-in day. You can definitely purchase your parking decal. The SUPD is, or our police office on campus who issues all of those parking passes. They're not doing really as much of kind of in-person, like open office, stop by and visit. So we are encouraging folks to go to their website and kind of see their by mail process and go through there. But you can obviously go through that process once you arrive on move-in day. There was a question about rolling carts to use to move things in. Those are available. We do have some carts available for Potomac Place. There's going to be in, we're obviously going to have kind of a cycle of those because we are going to need to wipe them down and kind of recycle those used. So we are going to hold those within a similar kind of time frame as we are with move-in. But those rolling carts are really only available for our Potomac Place move-in because of the presence of its elevator, being able to roll things into that. So that is something to be aware of. Although in other spaces, we do have a limited number of, but we'll have some, you know, like two-wheel rolling carts or other accessible things in and around for use.
Someone had asked earlier about security on campus. So we do have fully licensed West Virginia police officers on campus. They provide coverage 24/7. We also have a lot of memorandums that we partner with the town, county, and state so that we provide support to them as well as to us. In addition, all of our residence halls have, so within your room, you have an Onity card, but your Rambler card will get you swiped into the building and then into the room that you're living in. If you're within a suite, you actually have a metal key to your bedroom in addition. So there's lots of different security measures in there. Probably the biggest thing we can do is just lock the doors. You know, you want to deter any opportunity. It's a safer community, but we can't promise that nothing will ever happen. But there is definitely a lot of people here to provide support. I'm surprised no one has asked about the guest visitation policy. Because of COVID-19, after your move-in day, there's no more guests allowed. So you can have 2 people help you move in. Everybody has to wear face coverings. We got to practice social distancing, wash your hands, be as safe as we can. After then, the only people that can visit are people within the same building. So it kind of becomes a family unit. So if you are living in Shaw, you can't have your friend in Thatcher come over. Because, and we take it really seriously because we want to make sure that we protect each of the communities. And I'm sure you've seen with the addendum that there are consequences if you violate that visitation policy. But the goal is really to keep people as safe as possible. You're welcome to meet people outside of the building, but they cannot come in.
This is a question about how floors are numbered or how all of that works. So it's actually a good question because for folks who have their room assignments now, that's an indicator of what floor you live on in the building. So consistently across campus and at the Clarion Hotel, we have it so that if your room is, let's say 105, you're on the first floor. If it's 205, you're on the second floor. If it's 305, you're on the third floor, and so on. So the first number of your room assignments number is the floor that you're on. So if you're 501, you're on the 5th floor. And then that way you know which floor you're on. And then whenever you arrive on the floors, we will have some signage that kind of shows, you know, kind of like if you've been to a hotel, It's like this number of rooms this way, this number of rooms this way. We'll have some of that, but really it's about kind of, finding your spot. And then usually I usually find that people will know exactly where their room is, but when I ask them what the room number is, they're like, it's 5 something. So usually it's that muscle memory of just figuring out where your room is, and then you're good to go. Questions about leaving campus? You can absolutely leave campus. We obviously ask folks I think it's going to be one of those community-minded kind of situations where, and that's why we're like Liz just mentioned, like the guest policy. We are going to have some of those policies in place for inside the buildings to make sure that we are kind of focused on the community, so that we can get to a point of not having all of those things kind of closed up and inaccessible. But as far as leaving campus, leaving the building, like that is your, completely your prerogative as adults. So we won't, infringe on that by any means. Is there a question about the lobby floor? So most of the buildings have a first floor, and then there's like a main lobby in that area of the first floor, kind of an entryway or like a kind of a walk-in foyer space. And then some of our buildings do have rooms on the first floor. The only building that wouldn't have that is Potomac Place. So Potomac Place does not have resident rooms on the first floor. So you'd have either second floor or beyond up to 5th. But other than that, there's first floor rooms and lobby rooms. Yes, Ramblers are your keys. So Ramblers are a big deal. Mine's in the other room. But that is going to be your, key to it all. That's how you get your meal swipes. Yeah, so Liz has got hers. So your Rambler is how you can show your identification. It helps you, or it's your swipe to get into the building from the outside doors, and then you dip it to get into your room on the inside of the building. So that is your main thing. There will be a daily use. You don't want to lose it. And you want to make sure, if you haven't yet, Shelby mentioned it at the beginning of the conversation, but going online and getting your picture uploaded so that we can mail you that is a super, super, super vital piece to make sure that your move-in day isn't interrupted by trying to go and get your Rambler, because you'll have to have that before you can move in. Does it? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You probably were
Okay.
going to do this.
Oh, I was going to answer. There's another good question, kind of a close up to that, meeting folks out in the community. If it's just Shepherd students, we are not going to have any kind of hold on that exactly. So if you're meeting folks, that's up to you, and you're welcome to do so. Obviously, I think this is less about me saying it as a expectation or a policy that we have, but just in general, I think it's good advice to be smart about it and make sure that you're kind of following guidelines and being that community minded to make sure that we're not kind of putting folks at risk or spreading any kind of problems around or anything. But yeah, you can meet folks outside of the buildings. They just can't come inside if they don't already live in that building. So that's our guest policy.
And Shepherdstown has a mask covering or a facial covering requirement. And in West Virginia, it's required in essentially all public buildings. So in most areas near us, even even outside, we're walking down the street, just as a precaution, we take care of each other by wearing that mask, that face covering.
All right.
And a dynamic that I don't know if it's necessarily exact, or it might click, or it might kind of seem separate, but where Shepherd is a public university, anything that kind of comes out from West Virginia's governor, or anything that comes from the state of West Virginia, we're right there folded in with amongst that. So if kind of there's questions about sort of like COVID-19 response in general, the governor's executive orders or anything that comes from the governor is also kind of, we're right there in that mix, and we are beholden to it. So that could also be another source of some answers if that's some questions that you might have.
All right, Andrew and Liz, do you have any last things that you need our incoming students to know?
I think the biggest thing is we're working it out together so that we can keep each other safe. I can't imagine that we're not going to have fun. I just think it's going to be in a different way.
I would say my one piece that I would say is, one, reach out if you need anything, and find the support. We've got it on campus. There's multiple partners, multiple offices, and if you ask one a question, they'll likely know which other one has the answer. So if you ask, Shelby a question, she might know that I have the answer, and let her and I connect. But just make sure you're asking the question. I think that's a big important piece. And I'm going to steal a second one, and I'm going to do another one, which is, I think that our resident assistants, amongst many, many, many others, but our resident assistants are really going to be focused on getting to know the residents, you all, and getting to, engage. And so I would say, try stuff out and be willing to kind of join the RAs and join other residents in experiencing these new ways that we're going to be coming up with programming and engagement and conversation and connection and yada, 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 all of that. Just, be willing to sort of like experience something new and do it together.
All right, great. So just to kind of close everything out, just as a reminder to get your Rambler card photo uploaded to the website. That is extremely important. You can find that at shepherd.edu/Rambler. Be on the lookout in your Shepherd email this coming week, this next week, the week of the 10th, you will be getting an email about orientation step 2. That is a mandatory orientation for all of you incoming students. And make sure you just check out the orientation website for any other questions that you might have, or feel free to send any of us an email. We're more than happy to answer any questions you have. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And thank you to our presenters, Andrew and Liz. And we are excited to see you guys here in a few weeks. So have a great evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night, y'all.